Good morning. I appreciate everyone staying with us today. We have had an incredible start to our Internship Summit. My name is Boyd Yarbrough. I'm the Vice President of Student Affairs here at Cleveland State and have the distinct honor and pleasure of serving as a moderator of this remarkable group. So I'm going to not go into the bios of each of these members, and I know we're getting feedback. I'm hoping somebody can adjust that. The full bios will be available on the GCP website, but I'm going to touch quickly on some of the expertise and we'll dive quickly into our questions. On the far end, we have Tom Hopkins. Tom is with Sherwin-Williams. Here we have Natalie Coons. Natalie is with Ernst & Young. We have Lisa Logan with Logan Clutch Corporation and Ed Valentine from Gilbane Building Company. So remarkable talent and expertise in our panel. And I'm going to start by asking each of you to talk about your program related to internships and describe a little bit about this. So I'm going to give it a multi-part question, and Natalie, we'll just start with you. But when did the program start? Who runs it? How many internships do you host? Just some basic information like that. And take 2 to 3 minutes in your responses, please.
Sure, absolutely. So in preparation for the panel, I started asking around about when our internship started, because it absolutely preceded me, which is about 12 years at the firm. And no one could give me the answer. So we think Ernst was probably our first intern about 150 years ago.
Good answer. So intern to leadership.
Yeah, right,
Exactly.
So it started, I would say, probably 30 plus years,
That's
maybe
phenomenal.
40. Who runs it is our campus recruiting team. So they are responsible for coordinating and executing the internship program, but it truly is an all hands on deck type of effort. How many interns do we host? You want me to kind of go through?
Sure,
before?
yeah,
Okay. Here in Cleveland, we have anywhere from about 85 to 100 summer interns. We also do host a winter program, which most students have to take off a semester of school or do kind of a dual half semester of school, half semester of work. And then we do pay our interns.
Excellent.
Very well.
Appreciate that. Lisa, how about from your perspective?
Our perspective is very different because we are a small family-owned and managed manufacturing business in Cleveland. The internship program started around 2009, and since I was one of the owners, I'm the one that started the program. So we crawled a little bit and then began to walk and run. It has become very successful in the regards that we're able to learn from our experience and develop it over the years. Our company has hosted about 1 to 2 interns a year. Normally it's over the summer, so it's about a 9 to 12 week program. We work with a lot of local college students and some high school students and career center students. And then sometimes these internships can turn into co-ops as well, which we can talk about later.
Great, thank you. Ed?
I work for Gilbane Building Company, and we're construction managers. So we've been in Cleveland for over 50 years, and we're a national company. So our internship program is project-based, having an intern come, mostly all college students, come and work on a project and kind of get immersed in a project right from the start. So we tend towards engineering, architecture, construction technology programs, but we want to also introduce them to the whole gamut of construction management, which is everything from marketing to business development to accounting. So it starts to open people's minds up to the whole construction industry because we're one of the largest industries in the company, in the country.
Absolutely, that's great. Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, thanks for letting me be here. By the way, if you can't see this, you got to check out these socks on Boyd. Those from this angle down here, those are just pretty cool. I'll get back here. Sherwin-Williams, you know, like Natalie, I tried to find out exactly when. For a point of reference, I actually started as an intern as a graduate student at Cleveland State 35 years ago, and of course, after that experience, they shut down the program for a few years to restructure it. But having said that, we've been very active in the internship process for almost 15 years right now. And we would distinguish it by saying that we actually have 2 internship tracks. One is through our stores that you see in your local communities. And we hire between 500 and 600 interns for that. But more specifically to Cleveland, because of our headquarters being right downtown, down the street here, we hire a little over 200 interns a year. And we specifically have three major tracks. We have a kind of a general business track, if you would. We have a wonderful, wonderful IT track. One of our representatives is, say, one of my colleagues is sitting right there. And then we have a track that's in our research and development area. So those three different tracks that are there. And the folks that run it are essentially at the table along with some of their colleagues back at the shop that we have. Relative to do we pay our interns, absolutely. We think it's part of the value that comes in because a lot of our students, for example, we give a shout out to Cleveland State, about 20% of our interns, 23% of them are from Cleveland State. We already heard some of the challenges that Dr. Berkman talked about earlier about the need for income. So we do think that there's a role for unpaid internships, but by and large we think this is part of what we're helping to support, particularly with the demographic of some of the students that we're dealing with.
So you've heard throughout the day the value of internships, and most of us have had at some point our foot in the door with an internship. I had 3 internships as an undergraduate student. We have 2 adult children now. Both of them had internships. And how many of you have parents that are high school or college age? Raise your hand. Nobody has, I mean, how many of you have children that are, how many of you have parents that are high school? How many have children that are, there you go. All right. So I can say from our experience with our 2 children, the internships were critical for them finding their career paths. So our daughter is in higher education doing the same type of work that I'm doing. But all of that started not because of me. It started with an internship that she had in her undergraduate experience. Our son is a civil engineer in construction and is knocking it out of the park because of a co-op experience that he had starting his sophomore year as a student. So just hang tight for those of you that are parents of high schoolers or college students, but present the opportunities to them and make sure that they understand the opportunities that are ahead of them. I want to drill down into some specific questions. This first question is for Tom and Lisa. Can you talk about how your company's management team is involved in the internship program? So for instance, is a CEO involved at any level? What does a senior management team look like? Lisa, let's start with you.
As a small company, the management team is deeply involved in the internship process, from the recruiting all the way till the final exit interview. Once we are able to, and this is my responsibility, to reach out to the universities and find candidates, and then the CEO will be involved in the interview process. The most important message that we want to exchange between the candidate and our company is, are we a good fit? What is this candidate looking for? And what are we looking for? We're very clear about our expectations, and by the time the interview process is over, I think we all know who really is a good fit. The process then we will work with the supervisors who will work with this candidate, and I think the message goes throughout the process of communication, expectations, are they being met? And then with the exit interview, the CEO will share his comments and concerns, and I think it gives the intern an opportunity to share their recommendations, their concerns, their gratitude. So, I mean, it's so far so good.
Tom?
Yeah, I think that we're a little bit on the other side of this thing. We have almost 50,000 employees worldwide, about 4,000 in Northeastern Ohio. So it's a little different experience. But I would also echo, though, that even with that kind of scale of employees that we have, our senior management team is very involved. I personally kick off every intern session and they're at the end as well. Our COO and our CEO are involved at the end of our process. We actually have what we consider to be almost a so what program that we do a showcase. And the showcase is really an opportunity for teams of interns to talk about the work and projects that they've done. Inevitably, our CEO and our Chief Operating Officer, along with all of our heads of our 11 business units that are housed in Cleveland, come to that showcase. But more importantly, I think, is the work that is done with the managers who report into these senior directors. They're there constantly talking with the interns, making sure that they understand the importance of their work, the relevance of the work, answering questions, doing the networking that's there. So, yeah, for a successful internship program to continue to sustain itself, you do need the support of senior management, not only in terms of the concept, but actual some of the behavior modeling that you want to show.
Thank you both. I was with the president of another company last week talking about connecting with internships and what that would look and feel like. And he was the president and CEO. And one of the comments he made was he had come to understand the value and importance of having recruiters that looked more like the college students they were recruiting, because the college students wanted to be able to see themselves in the workplace and imagine what that looked and felt like. But he also recognized the value and importance of meeting and having those interactions with the president and CEO. So while there were several layers removed in a fairly large corporation, he also intuitively understood the importance of diversity. He understood the power of modeling and the opportunity for those connections. So my takeaway would be, regardless of the size of your operation, the exposure to your senior management team is a critical part of the experience.
And but I'd just add, you know, from an experiential level, I know I've heard this, these kids, and they are kids, go home that night and at dinner they say, I met the president of Sherwin-Williams today. Right. Such a
Powerful opportunity.
It just snaps in their memory forever. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question is for Natalie and Ed. And can you talk about, in each of your industries, I imagine it's a little bit different, what the internship structure looks like? So Natalie, let's start with you. I imagine you probably have more of a cohort structure coming through?
Yeah, absolutely. The first week of the internship is what we would call orientation and onboarding. It's the same program that anyone who joins would go through at whatever level they are joining. So we do that same kind of concept for our interns. They'll onboard, which is, in orientation is more the general firm information, and then we send them to specific technical training dependent upon what service line they are interning with us. That's about that first week. Typically then, for about the next 8 weeks, they are assigned out on client engagements just like our staff would be. So they are expected to do the same work that any of our entry-level staff professionals would be working on. I know in the last panel they kind of talked about give them more than just the copying and the administrative tasks, but economically speaking, it makes the most sense for the interns to do some of that work. And what we find is they sometimes have to balance and be able to do some of that grunt work, but also then be able to go and speak in front of a client, a CFO, a CIO, whomever they may be working with. So they truly have to have a lot of capabilities and skills to be able to do kind of both ends of the spectrum there. And then the last week of our internship, we host our International Intern Leadership Conference. It truly is a culmination, and we call it a milestone event for a successful completion of the internship to celebrate and really get them excited to go back to campus and be ambassadors for our firm and for the experience that they had. The CEO speaks there, so that's a big deal. He has a long line of people wanting to take selfies with him. So it is truly a celebration at the end of the internship. So it's about 10 weeks for us.
Thank you. Ed, how about with Gilbane?
We're a little bit different than both Ernst & Young and Sherwin-Williams. Our internship is really kind of individual. We're building buildings, and we're working with clients and trade contractors, and we're hiring individuals to work on the job site, pretty much. So we tend to be picking engineers and architect students, and they're learning things in school, but when they come to the job site, they're seeing what they're learning, and it's implementing what they're learning. So it's a very individual, customizable type orientation. And they're key supervisors, the project manager on the project or a project executive that they're kind of being mentored. And so it's really eye-opening for a lot of students because they come from a classroom and then they're either designing or looking at foundations or looking at mechanical systems, and then they walk on the job site and can see it in place. So it's great for us to have them out of the trailer and seeing how things go up and get put in place, and it's also great for them seeing how the drawings are, how we go from drawings to implementation. So, and many times students find out that they don't want to be out in the field. You don't want to be out walking around on a cold day or anything else like that. You want to be on a design side. My business, I'm in construction management. I don't do any design. I do all the planning in the building. So it's very useful to open people's eyes, and we try to customize the program to say, this is the way you'd like to try.
Can I just make a comment, because our business is very similar. When we bring in a young person, I mean, our product is highly engineered, so we're recruiting primarily engineering students, but the first week that they're at our company, they're out in the shop. They're assembling product. They're learning what components complete an assembly. They're learning how to inspect product. They're learning how the product is made, because so often someone can draw something in CAD and then you take it out into the manufacturing area and the people will say, I can't make this way. So there's a lot of collaboration, and when the intern does come in and they get to meet the people in the factory, and if there is a question, they have collaboration with that person and they can go out and say, I'm trying to make this. Do you have any suggestions? So it's a great experience.
Thank you. I'm hoping that some in our audience are here because you're interested in either starting an internship program or expanding a program that's currently in existence. If that describes you, could you quickly raise your hand just so we get a sense of that? Fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful. So we've touched on this a little bit, but I'll open this up to the whole panel. Can you give some examples in greater detail of types of projects that you assign for internships so that our audience can begin to get a sense of that? And can you also speak to what metrics you put into place to assess how successful they are in accomplishing those projects? I'll open that up to anyone.
Sure, I'll go ahead and talk about this. One of the things that we've found that really has sustained the notion that the internship process is very valuable for us is that through our operating business planning process, and many of you in your organizations probably have a year-end business planning process that you identify various types of work that you want to get done. We oftentimes will actually reserve some of these projects for our interns, and they become part and parcel of work, important work that has to get done. In the laboratory, they may be working on some resin technology or some sort of an application or extension of a product that we have developed. In our general business segment, they may be working on a marketing program for one of our product lines, Dutch Boys, Sherwin-Williams, or something of that nature. Absolutely, in our human resource organization, they're doing things that may have to do with training and development. Even in our IT, which we have we progress from intern to co-op to professional apprentice that's there. They're doing really important work for us. So we deliberately carve out projects for them. And then we measure them just like we would anybody else. A, did they analyze the project properly? B, did they make progress and hit the benchmarks? And C, did they get the work done? And that's where we actually then, going back to my earlier comments, link it to our showcase at the end, where they have the opportunity to show the real-life work that they have done. It's meaningful for them, it's meaningful for us, and it helps them push the ball forward.
Thank you.
On Cleveland Museum of Art, I had 2 interns. And so obviously they didn't immediately start out in the field, but after a safety orientation, after understanding how the drawings go from explaining it to a superintendent to get it built, it's that time to understand our business is so much more people. You got to explain it to the trade contractors. You got to take what the architect is trying to tell you and then explain it to the owner, this is what you bought. So all of that is we're trying to develop people skills out of our interns. So, and that starts right from they're attending progress meetings. They're attending meetings with the client. We're trying to immerse them. Now, you'll find out if they pass or fail. I mean, you're going to find out if that's not their thing to talk to people, because ours is a very people-oriented business with an engineering or architecture or background to understand. So it's kind of a trial period to see, is this the way you want to go? Is this what you're interested in, or do you want to be in a different business?
Thank you.
I think in our business, the engineering student really is exposed to a lot of the links that finally connect together, that they finally understand when they're finished with this internship, how everybody has to work together. And our intern has participated in sales meetings where we may attend an international trade show. Now, our company manufactures a standard product line. However, our niche is that we will modify. So that involves a lot of work with the customer and in the sales department, but also with the engineers. Is this possible? So they will meet with the sales team, the engineers, and the manufacturing personnel, and they'll see how all of the minds work together. Is this a possibility? Is it a go? How much is it going to cost? How much time will it take? Will we test? We need to keep in communication with the customer. So through all of this, I think our most recent intern has really experienced that process to the point that he actually was able to attend an international trade show, meet the customer, and I think in the end we don't have a scoring system, but we are able to see from his output that it was a success.
Can any of you speak to a connection, because I see some of our faculty from Cleveland State in the audience as well. Can you speak to either a connection or disconnection between the internship experience and a link back to what's happening in the classroom? Anybody have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I could take that. I think for our internship, it truly is students understanding and realizing that the foundations, the principles that they're learning in the classroom, they're actually then putting into practice. It's really that application that happens during the internship that I don't think you could technically get in a classroom, or you could in a mock sort of way. So that truly is the linkage. I was an audit intern myself, and I thought, oh, this is what I learned in audit class, and now I know what I'm doing. So it really is kind of that light bulb moment where they understand why they're learning what they're learning, and then how to apply that in the real world.
Okay.
I've got a fabulous opportunity right now because we're building a 100,000 square foot addition to the Cleveland State Engineering School. So we want to engage the engineering department. We're actually going to build platforms that you can see the construction going up, and we take that as a teaching experience. And so when you, not only for the school and the careers that people see, but how does it all go together? How does it fit together? And then the interns will learn, if you're working with utilities, or why does the crane go here, or why are you using this type of equipment, or how is it going to get built that way? And then you go to the carpenter in the field and says, no, we're going to change this a little bit. So there's a great opportunity with Cleveland State, and we find that with other universities, that we have to create a field of people that are interested, because there aren't many people that are coming up through our ranks right now. Engineering is starting to blossom, but we need to create that. I saw the Cleveland Indians before. We need to create that bench strength that's coming up.
There you go. Perfect. So I'm going to ask a dangerous question as a moderator. They usually tell you to stay away from negative things, but because our audience mostly is here to learn about how to start this experience, what it would look and feel like, are there missteps you've had along the way, or things that you wish you had done differently related to internship experiences? Anybody have any perspectives to share?
Well, I would tell you that, we by and large think our program is very successful, but when it's not, it really has to do with the lack of preparation on the part of the manager. The truth of the matter is that most of these kids come in, young people come in, and they have energy, they have enthusiasm, they're looking for some way to make an impact and understand if this is a good fit for their career. Where we are most successful is when we have the managers, and we spend a lot of time and energy preparing the managers for utilizing them, and when we don't, or when the manager says that they're going to do something and they don't, then that is really on us to make sure, so therefore, one of the things I think my team does here just really well is to prepare the managers to manage those. Hardly ever do we, we occasionally have a bad hire like anybody else, or someone that we didn't understand, but it really is the lack of preparation.
I think for our company, one of the mistakes that we made was that we were not clear enough on our expectations. And when a candidate has all of the academic skills, and not all of our candidates are college students. We may have young people from a two-year college or a technical school. And we've made the assumption that they have the soft skills. And then all of a sudden we discover, well, they don't really know the value of coming to work every day, or getting to work on time, or having reliable transportation. And that has been something where we fell back. And we hope that we can count on the educators or the people that we're getting these students from to help us in that area.
I want to pick up on Lisa's comment about soft skills, because I've heard this from other employers, and I don't think it's specific to Cleveland State. I think it's something we're going through with this generation of students. Are there soft skills that you have found lacking, and are there things that we can do within higher education to better prepare our students to be successful in your work world?
I don't know if there's skills that are lacking. I mean, obviously, the generation that's coming through now knows all the IT and knows all the how to use it and how to with Google and everything else. So they're always anxious to go to the computer and always anxious to work with the computer. And sometimes we have to take them and say, no, make a phone call. I've got to, please. It means so much more to the person on the other end instead of sending an email. And that's the only thing. We sometimes have to personalize or ask them to personalize what they're doing because not everybody reads emails, not everybody does texting or anything else like that. But ours is a people business, and there's a lot of people in our industry that are just getting to the IT world too.
One of the things that I've started to do is on the first day, I will hand the candidate a steno pad and a pen, and I'll say, please take notes. Please write the names down of the people that you've spoken with, even if you have to write a little note, has a beard. But just try and remember the names of people and take notes on what you've learned, because some of the people in our area in engineering, and in particular in manufacturing, will say, I will teach you, but I'm not going to reteach and reteach. So please take notes. And I've had some people that just will stand there and listen, and I really want them to show respect for the people that they're learning from. They're taking their time out of their day, sharing their career knowledge and wisdom. So please show some respect and take notes and listen and be just conscientious about that.
We heard earlier from our keynote speaker about kind of the developmental aspects that internships bring, and oftentimes it is around the work and the skill sets and competencies, but it really is also about confidence and social styles and leadership capabilities. So back to the faculty here, to the extent that you can help people, your students, get comfortable with the notion that they're going to be uncomfortable in many cases in an internship. I mean, when these young people come in, they're going to cluster with people that they know. Some of us are old enough to remember a rock group by the name of Yes that had a line in a song that said, don't surround yourself with yourself, get out of your comfort zone type of thing. Really encourage them to think about networking, particularly if it's upwards. That's really uncomfortable for these young people, but it's absolutely essential skill in an organization to be able to communicate up, down, and across with different generations. Be on time, dress appropriately, all those things that have to do with just an understanding, if you would, of the cultural milieu that you're going to be operating within there. So I think that's where the value of internships go beyond just the work and the skills. It's teaching people how to be effective in an environment that they're really not comfortable in many cases, or different.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add to that is this generation is the age of information, where they are very comfortable putting it all out there for everyone to see. And that realization that once you get into an internship in a professional environment, there are absolutely filters, or I would say privacy settings, that you may need to put on your everyday communication. And navigating through that, that's certainly what we have seen a learning opportunity for them.
Great, thank you. I want to make sure we have time for questions and answers from our audience, but before we get into that, are there last pieces of advice that any of you would have for our audience who might be considering starting an internship program? Any pearls of wisdom you'd share?
I think internship programs go both ways. You know, you're helping the student understand your business, and you're understanding the students better. And what do you want to gain from this? We want to gain an employee. We're getting an internship because we want employees. So, and we want to see if that's going to work. I mean, they're paid internships, very well paid internships. How are they going to perform? And it's better than just going to a career fair and picking up 50 resumes and having a 2-second conversation and then trying to decide how to pick between 50 resumes and remember them all.
I would like to add to that, and we did talk about having management buy-in, but I think that the entire company needs to know this intern is special. Before we bring the intern in, we actually have a photo and tell a little bit about the student. We not only have it on the intranet, but we'll place it right by the time clock so that the fellows in the shop know, okay, we have a new candidate here. I need to pay attention to this person, and this is his name. So it has to come top down. The tone has to be welcome, open, we're happy you're here.
Yeah, so just a couple of quick comments. I really do believe in the notion that of success by design. So if you can find a way to make sure that all the performance expectations are clear. My team has put together almost an 8-page document here that it's actually pretty comprehensive, and we've got some copies on the table over there. If you'd like to grab one, you can steal shamelessly if you choose to, or as we say at Sherwin-Williams, stolen with pride. So you can take that with you. And the other thing I would say is that there are other resources in the community to help build your internships as well, and that's why I think this notion of a summit is such a great thing, because we have a chance to look at these various resources. There are representatives from iCleveland here in the room today, which is an opportunity to connect your interns with the region itself and network among other interns and other companies. Seek out all those things that really help cement that relationship of that intern to the company and to the community.
And the last thing I would add is when you're getting that leadership buy-in and creating your internship program, it truly is an investment. You won't see that return, the first few months, even maybe the first few years, but later down the road, that is truly what you're investing in by having those interns. We have seen that our interns perform better, former interns, I should say, that then join us full-time, they perform better and they stay longer. But we don't see that return for many years after they've interned with us, and so taking that long-term view as an investment is really important.
We have time for a few questions from our audience. Microphone's coming to you. Thank you.
My question is for Natalie and Thomas, and I'm wondering for your hiring of interns, do you use more of a centralized or a decentralized model for that? And more specifically, does a central group like HR or recruiting really handle the end-to-end hiring process of your interns, or do you decentralize that and really engage the hiring managers themselves in that process? And what are the pros and cons of either from your perspective?
No.
Yeah, so I have a campus team of 30 campus recruiters. So they truly are responsible for building the relationships with the career services centers, planning, coordinating, executing all of our recruiting events. But that being said, we also have what we call a client service model, meaning our expectation of our client serving professionals is they are going to campus with us and evaluating and assessing the talent that we meet. Because at the end of the day, they won't work with my campus recruiting team, they will work with our client serving professionals. So it truly is us working hand in hand with them. For the most part, our interviewers are our client serving professionals. Our recruiters are certainly able to do that and step in when needed, but we truly want them, our intern candidates, to meet the folks that they'd be working with on a daily basis.
And boy, if I could, I'd give the microphone to Terry Paradon, who's from our team right here. She can answer that question a lot better than I can.
Hi. Thank you, Tom. We, at Sherwin-Williams, we have a decentralized recruiting staff. So each division does have their own recruiting team, small recruiting team in most cases. So HR and the recruiting team will handle really the front end and the flow of the recruiting process, but we do engage hiring managers and supervisors in the interview and selection process. So we're setting up the career fairs and the interviews and things like that and assisting throughout. And each divisional recruiter is chatting with one another as well, so we can be efficient and synergized throughout our process. But the hiring managers and the supervisors really have a lot of skin in the game from a selection standpoint.
And then the only other comment I think we add, Terry, is that we do have a, if you would, a comprehensive enterprise-wide tracking system. It's a Taleo system, I think, that allows us to be able to monitor where we are in that supply chain process, human resource supply chain process. So there's full visibility, even though it's decentralized, there's a ability to manage it at an enterprise level.
I think we have time for one more question. Yes.
Yes, my question is for Lisa and Ed. Speaking to Dr. Ferguson's, when he had given his keynote speech, what about the students that are in vocational training, like, say, hard skills or manufacturing? How do you address those students that don't have typical four-year degree that are engineers into your company?
You could take it. First. We work closely with the local community schools, and I have also visited the schools, spoken with the instructors to tell them what we are looking for, and they are trying very hard to implement what we're looking for, because at this point in our company, we have a skills gap. We have a lot of highly seasoned machinists and engineers that are approaching retirement. And then we have a gap where we don't know what, I mean, we're really looking for talent. But it seemed as though during a certain period, the schools were not as addressing that. And in Europe, it's very different. A lot of the students will go right from high school into a trade school for 2 years, and then they'll go on to their career. Fortunately for us, we have been able to obtain some Eastern European employees that are filling in that gap and also giving a very positive culture and work ethic to the young students that are coming in. However, it is hard for us because I feel, and this is personally, working in a machine shop at the school, at the tech school, is very, very different than coming into a shop that is a production shop. So I really encourage the schools to have shadowing days and visits like we were talking about, even when students visit banks, to be able to just see what the environment is like, because it certainly isn't like the shop in the trade school.
Earlier in another panel, there was a question about how do you find your interns? And I just want to wrap up with this comment. You've heard reference already to iCleveland, so we have some folks here from iCleveland, which will be a wonderful resource for you. You've met folks from GCP, and you've heard a little bit about Internship Central, which will be getting started very soon. And then here at Cleveland State, I would love to have the opportunity to get a business card from you if you're interested in that. Again, my name is Boyd Yarbrough. I'm the Vice President of Student Affairs. I have responsibility for career services as part of my portfolio. And if you have that interest, I would welcome a conversation with you. Please join me in thanking our great panelists. Thank you all.